Africell presents Nickel Millionaire 2.0, where your dreams of becoming a millionaire can come true, not once, but twice. In the first 2 months, one lucky Africell subscriber will win a cool $1 million. Another lucky winner will take home another $1 million just 2 months after that. But wait, there's more. We've got loads of cash prizes to be won every week. Simply buy a minimum of $10 in credit or data. So the more you buy, the better your chances of hitting the jackpot. Nickel Millionaire 2.0. Join us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 p.m. live on GRTS. Africell, creating millionaires, changing lives.
Welcome to the future of transportation in the Gambia. The Bertel Harding Highway, a 22-kilometer double carriageway, is set to revolutionize travel and connectivity in our beloved country. A 3-lane highway means more space for vehicles, smoother traffic flow, and reduced congestion. Each lane has a specific purpose. The leftmost lane for overtaking and faster vehicles, the middle lane for standard driving, and the rightmost lane for slower and turning vehicles.
It's a warm reception to our studio here in Serekunda. This is Star TV News, and I am Emeneju Fadera, and many thanks for joining us. In the headlines tonight, Gambia's business executives attend China-Africa Entrepreneurial Forum. CG Dabo makes case for digital investment at West Africa Tax Forum. Stakeholders discuss issues highlighting in Afrobarometer report. GRA to introduce fuel integrity stamp. On the international front, Nigerian dam collapse. 1 million people forced from their homes. Well, those were the headlines. So now the news in detail. The president of the Gambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Idrissa Mas Job, Mohamed Jah of Q Group, and Isaka Sisaho of Sisaho Habatu Sauda were among high-profile Gambia business executives who took part in the China-Africa Entrepreneurship Forum held in China last week. Details in this report.
This meeting was one of the big meetings held within the Forum of China-Africa Cooperation, and it provided the private sector of Africa the platform to network with China's private sector and to chart a way forward for Africa's private sector to leverage the many business opportunities in China. The GCCI president returned home last week from China, delighted and grateful that Africa's private sector was well represented in the business forum. He was also invited to attend the political forum as part of FOCAC. Speaking to Star TV at his office on Thursday, President Job described the forum as a very big learning. He pointed out that Africa has a lot to learn from China, adding that People's Republic is a very credible teacher for Africa. But why is China a very credible teacher for Africa?
Because if you look at 30 years ago, China and Gambia have the same GDP per capita in terms of purchasing power parity. It's exactly the same. And 30 years later, China was able to get all their people out of poverty. China was able to increase their GDP per capita in terms of PPP. China was able to increase that almost 22 times. Whereas Africa, the overall increase in terms of PPP is almost about 6%. On the whole, we are all about $2,500 per individual in terms of purchasing power parity. Today, China is $22,000 when we are still around $2,800. $800.
He pointed out that China has a track record for development after wriggling its economy from developing economy to an emerging one. The GCCI president said the purpose of FOCAC is to help Africa mechanize and industrialize because it's only through environmentally responsible industrialization alongside poverty elimination that Africa can develop. He explained that industrialization can only happen through skills, innovation and promotion of science and mathematics. However, President Job is of the view that despite China's proven track record in development, Africa can develop through Africa.
But then the agenda for Africa and the Africans should be set by us. We cannot continue to say whether China is coming here to help us or not. There's a poet that said that pity no more if you have not made them poor. So we have to change the mindset from what do they want from what are they going to do for us. We should not care about it. We have to be able to structure our own and defend our own interests, especially at an Africa-wide, because we are very small, fragmented countries. We can only develop if we develop at regional level or if we develop at the Africa continental level. And we must now start engaging these big companies as Africa, not as regional countries. So I am certain, I am not a politician, I'm certain that our politicians are mindful that this is about national economic interests, and China, when they come here, is for their own national economic interest.
He explained that there is a need to upscale Africa-China relations from a bilateral to a strategic level. But how can Africa recalibrate its relations with China?
That's why I was saying that whatever it is, our own national economic plans, our own agenda, that we will now try to align with whoever wants to be our partner, whether it's Europe, whether it's America, whether it's the Chinese, but they have their own. So FOCAC was supposed to be Forum for China-Africa relationship. But then when you talk about relationship, you are talking about interdependence. But to be interdependent, you all have to be independent. It is only independent entities that are interdependent. If one entity is dependent and the other one, then you will have a relationship of master and slave.
The GCCI president said Africa needs the know-how from China because of their transition from developing economy to an emerging one. He added that Africa should be focused on developing engineering capacity, technological capacity, and vocational capacity because entrepreneurship and innovation cannot thrive without people being trained in mathematics, science, and technical skills. For Star TV News, this is Awasane.
The Commissioner General of the Gambia Revenue Authority on Wednesday delivered a speech at the 6th edition of the West Africa Tax Administration Forum in Guinea-Bissau, where he called on member states to embark on digital investment. Modo El-Baji tells us more.
The West Africa Tax Administration Forum annual high-level policy dialogue serves as a crucial platform to address and find solutions to diverse challenges faced by West Africa revenue authorities. The 6th edition of the high-level policy dialogue has set to uphold its reputation, featuring esteemed experts and participants from various sectors. Mr. Yankuba Dabo, Commissioner General of the Gambia Revenue Administration, who also doubled as the chairman of WATEF, expressed his gratitude to the diverse attendees and the host country for organizing such a well-attended event. He deemed the theme improving tax system to promote economic growth in West Africa both timely and relevant. Mr. Davo underscored the vital role of taxation in promoting economic growth and social equality and providing necessary services. He highlighted that the main challenge lies in the adequate capacity, particularly in the area of digitalization. He called for investments in digital infrastructure to close gaps, prevent revenue leakages, and enhance collection efficiency, which in turn will enable governments to fulfill their mandates and advance economic independence across Africa.
Ability to provide essential services, reduce inequality, and foster long-term economic prosperity across the sub-region. Africa in particular and the world in general. This dialogue comes at a time when our nations are facing multifaceted challenges, including recoveries from the economic shock of the global pandemic, grappling with the evolving and challenging nature of administering taxes, and addressing the persistent issue of informality and, in general, non-compliance. But challenges also bring opportunities. Opportunities to rethink, rebuild, and improve our tax systems in ways that not only increase revenue, but also promote fairness, inclusivity, and accountability.
It is hoped that a robust digital infrastructure will make tax collection in the sub-region more watertight and enhance efficiency in revenue mobilization. For Star TV, I am Modu Elbaji.
Critical issues affecting governance and democracy in the Gambia, reconciliation and justice process, trust between citizens and their leaders, and women's active participation in politics were talking points in a panel discussion that followed the recent release of the findings of Afrobarometer report. Our Sani has more.
The Afrobarometer survey results were unveiled, initiate an urgent dialogue among stakeholders about concerns highlighted in the findings. The discussion focused on various topics including the state of the country's democracy and the need for truth, reconciliation and justice, trust issues within the government, women's role in politics, constitutional reform and overall governance in the Gambia. However, improving on these areas prompted a discussion by stakeholders from various institutions within the view of finding substantial mechanisms to address these setbacks in the country's democracy. The event underscored the vital importance of citizens' feedback in fostering a dynamic democratic society. The data from Afrobarometer's Round 10 initiative aimed at improving governance and democratic practices in the country. A Gambian jurist, women's rights activist, Fatou Jan Senghor, emphasized that the transition to justice requires time and that reconciliation is essential for healing, adding that decision makers should understand that these two have to go hand in hand.
Transition takes time, but they want to see some movements. So, those who committed serious crimes, those who committed, human rights abuses be tried. I think that is also something that strongly comes out. But I think interestingly, linked to all of these, the need for accountability, the need for justice, but Gambians also, I think in their peaceful nature also, they want to reconcile because that also will help to heal. And I believe this is important also for the decision makers to understand, yes, there is no trade-off between, justice and accountability and reconciliation. They have to go hand in hand. Of course, some red flags in the report. And one of them is the public trust. We've seen from 2018 to now how it's declining. And I think that's something that is seen across the board from central government to local government. And concerning the parliament, I think this is something also that we need to look into seriously because the parliament, I think, scored very, very low.
She also shed light on the importance of looking into the issue of peace and security in the country, degrading of public services, including the health sector, women participation in the public sector, and other related issues in order to improve public service delivery. Senior state lawyer Lamin J. Dabo added weight on the need for reconciliation among victims of the TRRC. He stressed that individuals who committed various offenses against their fellow citizens should face trial at the court of law, adding that this can be done through commitment and not just with documents.
It would be good to put some of the most egregious individuals who committed serious offenses against fellow citizens to be tried before courts of law, whether we'll be able to accommodate the extradition and what it entails of the former president. That is another question that people would have to look at. So overall, the demand for democracy, all of these things are telling us that Gambians want a better governance climate But I have to say that documents alone cannot do that. We must have a commitment to ensure that people elected into office who understand governance and who would ensure that they adhere to the principles of good governance so that we can take this country.
Mariama Danso from the Fact Check Center highlighted a significant disconnect between the central government, peripheral government, and political parties, which has led to trust issues among citizens regarding their leaders. Danso also talks about the low tone on women's participation in politics and its reasons after they conducted the survey.
A woman that is mostly bent on how do I feed my family has no much or no less time to participate actively in politics. And sometimes they themselves will tell you, it's not that I am not interested, but my family is not interested to have me as a woman to actively participate in politics. We have had several responses like that. I want to, I am interested, but my husband is not allowing me. Or I want to, I am interested, but the society is not encouraging me enough to take part in terms of women participation. So I will say we have to revisit some of those areas if we want to tackle women participation in politics as well. Maybe for the responses aspect, if you compare it to before and now, we will say there is a slight improvement in terms of women participation in politics, but I, for one, believe that there's still room for improvement. And then we have to look around the thematic areas of how best can we empower women.
The Afrobarometer survey results revealed a growing sentiment among Gambians regarding truth, reconciliation and justice compared to previous surveys in 2018 and 2021. A larger number of citizens advocate for the prosecution of those accused of crimes and human rights abuses during former President Yahya Jammeh's regime. Furthermore, a majority expressed the importance of holding the government accountable, even if the results in slower decision-making process. The findings also indicated a strong support for democracy, with citizens largely rejecting non-democratic alternatives. This panel discussion serves as a crucial step in addressing the concerns raised by the Afrobarometer survey, aiming to foster a more inclusive and accountable governance framework in the Gambia. For Star TV News, Awasane.
The Gambia Revenue Authority has devised plans to promote transparency and accountability in the fuel sector by introducing reforms aimed at curbing the illicit transactions in the fuel market and to protect the OMCs. Details in this report.
The Gambia Revenue Authority is showing no sign of let-up in driving forward its reforms agenda. The Revenue House has been implementing and continues to execute reforms that will enhance its efficiency in mobilizing revenue for national development. The latest reform that the Gambia Revenue Authority plans to introduce revolves around fuel marketing in this country. The Commissioner General of the Gambia Revenue Authority, Yankuba Dabo, elaborates on this particular reform agenda.
Bring fuel overnight, put it in the barrels, and then dump it at the petrol station. You have no idea that fuel, the composition of that fuel. You have no idea. Unlike the one that comes from the ship direct to the depot, and from the depot it goes to the petrol station. That one we know that will be a good fuel. Unlike these backway ones, the quality is a concern. But beyond the quality, the fraud that is there, the smuggling, this is what we want to stop. So,
Commissioner General Dabo explains that the fuel marketing system is designed to curb illegal fuel trafficking.
Now we've realized that over the past years, some people have decided to convert fishing trawlers. They make it fuel tankers, and they bring fuel overnight. Either they go via Wafinjago, or they go to Kerewan, or they go to Katong area or Tanje area. They offload this fuel, try to use means. They take them to the petrol station and dump them there. And these are illegal. This is illegal.
because it is not.
Meanwhile, in March of this year, GRA introduced the digital tax stamp for excisable beverage products. CG Dabo explains how this new system has enhanced revenue collection since its introduction. The thinking behind the introduction of digital tax stamp is to minimize revenue leakages. For Star TV, I am Mutu Elbaji.
Well, those were the local stories. We'll be back with international news after the short commercial break. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back.
We've got fantastic new social media bundles just for you.
Stay connected with your favorite platforms like WhatsApp, Viber, X, Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok with our new social media bundles. You can now get 50 megabytes for $10 is valid for 1 day.
Enjoy 400 megabytes for $40, valid for 7 days.
Get a massive 1,200 megabytes for $100 is only, valid for 7 days.
Simply dial *120# and press 3 to pick the social media bundle that suits you best.
Africell is excited to introduce its brand new MiFi router with a new look, sleek design, and enhanced performance. For just $2,700, you can grab this new amazing MiFi router and enjoy speeds of 4 Mbps with 450 GB of data for free, valid for 30 days. Connect up to 10 devices. It's as easy as plug, connect, and play. Don't miss out. You can grab this new amazing MiFi router at any Africell outlet. Africell, where only speed matters.
Welcome to the future of transportation in the Gambia. The Bertel Harding Highway, a 22-kilometer double carriageway, is set to revolutionize travel and connectivity in our beloved country. A 3-lane highway means more space for vehicles, smoother traffic flow, and reduced congestion. Each lane has a specific purpose. The leftmost lane for overtaking and faster vehicles, the middle lane for standard driving, and the rightmost lane for slower and turning vehicles.
Welcome back after the short commercial break. If we just tuning in, this is Star TV News from our studios here in Serekunda. And now we look at the international front. At least 30 people have died in the northeast Nigeria after being caught in flooding caused by the collapse of a dam. Bodies are being recovered by search and rescue teams in northeastern Borno State. The government says more than 1 million people have been forced from their homes, and it's feared the number of deaths will rise as many are trapped. Many people are in need of medical assistance, but the largest hospital is quickly running out of supplies. Al Jazeera's Ahmed Idris has more from Maiduguri in northeastern Nigeria.
Here, we are in one of the wards of the University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital, a 1,305 bed capacity hospital. What we're seeing here are patients displaced by this flood. These are severely malnourished children whose ward is flooded, and they have to be moved to share wards with other patients in the upper floor of this hospital. So basically, the situation is such that laboratory equipment, radiology equipment, and all other services at the moment in the hospital are temporarily suspended. And this is because the flooding has impacted almost every aspect of hospital operations. Now, to further discuss this with me is the Chief Medical Director of the University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital, Professor Ahmed Ahijo. Professor, talk to us about the impact of this flood on your operations.
Thank you very much once again. At this stage, it's very difficult to state the impact of the flood on the hospital. But I think our concern generally now is to ensure there is patient safety. This, where we are now, is the relocated area of malnourished pediatric patients of our hospital. We treat them at the Alima Center for Malnutrition, but we have to move them as we moved all the patients from downstairs to upstairs. So now this is where we have temporarily relocated this patient for treatment, but as you can see, virtually all the supplies are not there. It's very difficult to get because of the emergency situation.
What about emergency services like outpatient department?
We have suspended all emergency. I think we'll go and see the accident and emergency is all taken over by flood. The delivery rooms, they're all taken over by flood, and everything downstairs in the hospital cannot be used, including the laboratory and the radiology departments. We are all concentrating those that really must be in the hospital now. That's why we keep them and manage them accordingly. Those that we cannot, we have to evacuate them to go to other hospitals for basic services.
Chief Medical Director, University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital, Professor Ahmed Ahijo. So basically, what officials at the hospital are telling us, it could be weeks before they know the extent of damage done to hospital equipment, the building, the infrastructure. Right now, even the water treatment plant is flooded. There are fears of contamination either from the radiology department or the water system in the hospital. So that's the situation currently in this hospital, and it's expected that the impact or the devastation caused to the hospital and its operations could last months, because this is a referral hospital that's been relied upon by not only Nigerians but 6 other countries who come here for medical reference. Ahmed Idris, Al Jazeera, Maiduguri.
Well, before we end the news, a quick recap of our main headlines. Gambia's business executives attend China-Africa Entrepreneurial Forum. CG Dabo makes case for digital investment at West Africa Tax Forum. Stakeholders discuss issues highlighting in Afrobarometer report. GRA to introduce fuel integrity stamp on the international front. Nigeria dam collapse. 1 million people forced from their homes. That's all for this edition of the news. Do enjoy the rest of our wonderful programs. Once again, thanks for your company. Well, I am Amy Fadera. Thanks for watching. You have a wonderful night.